To this court case, Hildegard Steenkamp's sentencing hearing in the Specialized Commercial Crimes Court has resumed. Steenkamp was found guilty on more than 300 charges of fraud for claiming erroneous tax refunds from SARS between 2004 and 2016. In court, she claimed her violent spouse had urged her to defraud her employer. Our reporter Hloni Mtimkulu is in court and she joins us now live for more details. Hloni, before you tell us what exactly happened in court this morning, just remind the viewers, in terms of her defense, that it was her spouse who forced her. He died, didn't he? So he's not here to answer to those allegations.
Yeah, that's right, Masako. So he passed away on the 14th of December in 2016. And even after then, there were still a few more transactions that still went through after he had died. And he had tried to commit suicide earlier that year in July. But she had said that her first husband, her now deceased husband, had business problems and had asked her to carry out this scheme after they had found out that there was a way of reclaiming VAT refunds from Medtronic, her employer. And so she started doing this thing. Initially, they were trying to see if they would be found out, and when they weren't found out, then this continued. She said the transaction started in December of 2004, and by around February 2005, she had wanted to stop, but he wouldn't essentially allow her to do that. He had become abusive when she tried to stop these transactions, and she then tried to commit suicide. She was in ICU and she was still facing this abuse afterwards. So she said that, but she did also then say that actually I don't want to put it on my husband. This was all my fault. I feel bad for doing this. I'm really sorry for doing this, after she had been questioned about wanting to essentially put the blame on her husband, which was on the first day of sentencing. And then the following day she said, okay, no, this is me. This is all on me. Please stop talking about my husband and the abuse that I suffered under him, Masako.
All right. Well, what happened in court today so far?
Yeah, so it is closing submissions in the sentencing proceedings for Hildegard Steenkamp, and we heard her advocate, Advocate Roots, talking about the well, first of all, he gave some context, right, to the sentencing proceedings, and he quoted a very long lecture by Judge Edwin Cameron that he gave in 2017 at UWC, and this was talking about prison conditions. Mention was made about overcrowding in the prison system, that the prison system doesn't really rehabilitate offenders, that instead it violates the conditions of prisons, violate the rights of prisoners, and so it's not necessarily an option or a solution to try and rehabilitate someone. He did say that if possible, to have a sentence that will not make her give up hope, that will not leave her hopeless, that possibly there will be leniency if it is at all possible. So of the 336 counts of theft, only 211 of them meet the minimum, or satisfy the minimum requirement, rather, for that minimum sentence of 15 years, and then the other 125 don't. So he's arguing that if possible, the counts are meant to run, though the sentence is meant to be 15 years times every one of the counts, and he was arguing that they should run concurrently instead of having to run over 15 times 211 years. So he is hoping that the judge will be lenient. He did say, I can't argue that there's some mitigating factor that would have made her carry out these acts, but if you can find it in you to be lenient, please be lenient. But let's hear a little bit more from Advocate Francois Roots on the leniency and just on the prison system and on possible conditions why she should not be going away for 15 years times the minimum of the 211 counts.
Increasingly, observers express their concern that conditions in South African prisons are already violating prisoners' rights to an unjustifiable extent. And then he refers to the authority and the relevant reports, I'm sure which your worship can take judicial notice of. The question is how much longer our courts can continue ignoring this situation. Although the sentencing courts do not accept conditions existing in prisons as a factor when determining an appropriate sentence, it would be unacceptable for our courts. To sentence a person to imprisonment in the full knowledge that the conditions of incarceration are unconstitutional.
It looks like the mitigation and aggravation part of the sentence will be quite interesting. Hloni, let's leave it there for now so you can also enjoy your lunch before they come back into the courtroom. Hloni Mtimkulu live for us there on the Hildegard Steenkamp court case.